As you know, managers are faced with many complex issues daily, and there's nothing new about that. The question is, how to help them improve the decision-making processes. Edward de Bono designed a framework for that to help us in facilitating brainstorming activities, exploring the problem from multiple angles, or navigating the entire thinking process on a group level. And it's very helpful for coaches and facilitators to navigate their sessions as well. Here, the point is not to argue, but explore different perspectives in a collaborative way and find the most suitable solutions. It's a great practice for developing diversity of thinking within a team and potentially generating better ideas and improving overall decision-making. A metaphor is very simple. If we want to think a certain way, we have to put an appropriate hat on for that. When we would like to approach the issue from another perspective, we simply switch the hat. The trick is to launch a sort of a role-play activity in order to soften the atmosphere based on the type of hat each participant is going to wear at a time, not to manage a discussion from the perspective of individual egos or the formal position the one has within the organization. Understanding the 6 thinking hats. Here, as the name says, there are 6 hats focused on the following aspects. The white hat is for facts and figures. The red hat lets you express emotions and gut feelings. The black hat is for critical judgment and playing devil's advocate. The yellow hat brings sunshine with positive thinking. The green hat is all about creativity and out-of-the-box ideas. And the blue hat keeps things organized and on the track. When and how to apply the 6 thinking hats. Basically, it can be easily applied in many situations, including strategy and other business-related topics. Simply, how you are going to structure the conversation, meaning to prioritize the hats, it will depend a lot on the issue per se and your overall situation. Let's explain. Most likely, the discussion will start with a white hat, presenting and analyzing hardcore data, market trends, and similar. The core idea here is to understand the situation, what you already know about the issue, what the data extrapolation can teach us, what are the sources of your information, and can you trust that, where you can find additional data, who is going to do that, and similar. Basically, we are building conversational foundations with white hat based on facts and logical thinking. Next, you can switch to another hat. For example, if you feel some tension between the people, you can ask them to put on a red hat and express their emotions in order to release the tension before the upcoming talks. While wearing red hat, people express their emotions like the following. I don't trust these guys and wouldn't like to work with them again. I've got a good feeling about this new market. I just like this idea, etc. As you can see, it's all about emotions and gut feeling, and you don't expect people to give you some logical explanation about the topic, rather, how they feel about that. Sometimes, it's very important to go through this early in the process, before you go deeper into conversation, because it can cloud the thinking during the discussion, while sometimes it's pretty much irrelevant, and you can leave it for the end. For example, by asking which alternative do you like more. If you would like to raise the enthusiasm, you can ask people to switch to the yellow hat to express their opinions about the strengths or good sides of the project, why it can work, what would be the benefits, upcoming opportunities, and similar. Obviously, those will be covered with arguments and logic. On the other hand, if you feel the people are too positive, you can drop them down by asking them to put the black hat. Here's the point on expressing the criticism. What are the core risks, potential threats, and weaknesses? Why the proposed solution might not work, etc. Once you've assessed the situation and defined pros and cons, you can ask people to put a green hat on, meaning to propose new ideas and solutions. Here's the point on creativity and innovations. People usually start with the most obvious solutions, and further facilitation is needed. It can be helpful to talk about solutions coming from competitors, how people from other industries deal with similar issues, exploring what features of your product are important for poor people, since they are usually focused on practicality, what features are important for the most selective users, like top athletes, artists, experts from certain fields, and similar, since they are looking for something more advanced, not just pricing. Or you can use a logic behind design thinking philosophy, lateral thinking, and similar in order to develop your additional alternatives. There are many ways to be innovative and consciously create new ideas, depending on the situation. Finally, the last hat is the blue one, and it's all about navigating the conversation and the thinking process itself. As Eckhart Tolle said, rather than being your thoughts and emotions, be the awareness behind them. Or, to say it differently, someone has to be a sort of a facilitator during the meeting and think how to structure and navigate the discussion. That might be a CEO, another business leader, or a professional coach. It doesn't matter. Or you can occasionally ask all the people to put the blue hat on and discuss how to sum it up and further proceed the conversation. The point is, someone has to be aware of what's going on and tell people when to switch one hat for another. For example, if there is too much negativity, you can ask them to take the yellow hat. If the people are stuck at hardcore data, you can ask them for new ideas, meaning to wear the green hat. Or if they become too emotional, you can ask them to focus on data and logical thinking, meaning white hat, and so on. And people like to present themselves as being good at wearing all 6 hats, not just one, although we all know it's hardly going to work that way. Keep in mind that you can be selective as well. Basically, if you know that someone can play a great role by wearing a black hat, or someone who has plenty of ideas, you can ask only those specific people to put the needed hat on, without bothering others. And you have to think carefully about the timing when those people will speak, since that might redirect entire conversation. Why this approach can work. There are few important aspects characteristic for this approach that we have to highlight here. 1. People focus on playing the roles instead of defending their own egos. For example, you can always say, "John, you are amazing while wearing the black hat. Can you please give us a similar contribution here while wearing a yellow hat instead?" Compare this to saying, "John, you are too negative. Please stop." See the difference? 2. Focused attention to looking at some issue from one selected angle at a time. Later on, you'll move to another angle, and next one, etc. Basically, gradually reaching 360 degrees perspective in analyzing the issue and proposing solution. 3. Practicality. Simply, you can ask someone to switch the perspective from one aspect to another. For example, instead to be negative, to try to find positive aspects, or search for creative solutions, just like we explained with John. 4. It helps a coach to set respectful rules of the game in advance, meaning to define how the conversation and thinking process will flow, so everyone can understand it, participate in the process, and adjust themselves to be up to the task, including the mood, leaving ego aside. For sure, the 6 thinking hats encourage a thorough exploration of ideas, boost creativity, and provide a structured decision-making process. Above all, it's an inclusive process. However, it requires time to implement the approach effectively and heavily relies on the facilitator's skills to manage the process of switching hats successfully, including the attention and mood of a vast variety of people.